G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. This is episode number 7. Today is Monday, the 11th of February 2013. I am your host Fiona, also known as Fifikins. This is a day late. I apologise for that, but there was a project I really wanted to get finished with the needles and blocking, and the kids were with their dad all weekend, so I was able to stay up late last night, finish it, block it overnight on my son's bed, and then have it ready for today because it's something I'm going to be posting on, and I will get to that a bit later. I am Fifikins on most social media. I'm Fifikins on Plurk, where I talk a lot about knitting. I have been on Plurk though before I discovered knitting, so there'll be other things that come in there from time to time. Sometimes I block. I can send things privately to different groups of people. I've got some very close friends, and we not necessarily knitters they are. So we often have little side tangent conversations. On Twitter, I've been on Twitter almost 8 years. I was one of the earlier people on Twitter. I believe I was the first person on Twitter in Cairns, so I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, so be it. If not, it doesn't really matter. But on Twitter, I have many different positions, I suppose, many different roles or identities. So I have Fifikins, the knitter, I have Fifikins, the podcaster, I have Fifikins, the cook, I have Fifikins, the mum, I have Fifikins, the motorbike rider, I have Fifikins, the activist, but there's also the political side of me. We have a federal election coming up in Australia this year, so I will warn you that I get a bit political at times. I'm quite passionate about certain policies and politics, and sometimes my Twitter can get overloaded with that. So I just wanted to warn you about that. It's not something I bring into Ravelry or into my knitting usually. It's been a fairly quiet week. Monday I did a whole lot of job applications. Tuesday was Minimal's day off, so we spent the day together and had a lovely time. We went out to lunch and then had a look around at some things, and yeah, it was a really nice time. Apart from that, I've been knitting. I should go into some administradia, to borrow that awesome term from I'm Beth, Fat Squirrel Speaks. Here I am. This is actually my second time recording. The first time the sound was really, really low, so I thought I'd better do another version. Second time I've had to do this, and this is my 7th episode, so I'm hoping I don't forget things or leave things out or put things in that shouldn't be there. So, Administradia, for our 100 members, I received a lovely email yesterday from Kristen of Skein Yarn, and Kristen has offered to donate a skein of yarn of the winners' choosing in their choice of colourway and choice of weight to whoever is the winner. On top of that, of course, we have the stitch markers that I made. There you are. There's a photo of them up on the board. I will say one entry per person, so one comment. I did have to delete a couple of things only because there was a bit of conversation in there, but I've opened up another thread. It was great. There was conversation. It was great that people wanted to talk about things. I won't go into the intriguing Australia things today. I will do that hopefully next week. I'm hoping to keep this week under 30 minutes so that I can get it uploaded and get some other stuff done today. And also I know you all have a lot of other things to do with your time rather than sitting and watching me. So I'm really I was quite blown away to get the email from Kristen. Her support of the podcast is really appreciated. So if you haven't gone over already to A Down Under Yarn, the board on Ravelry, to enter for the 100 member giveaway. If you thought my stitch markers were a bit naff, and that's okay, I don't mind, then by all means head over there. Tell us what intrigues you about Australia or Australians. If you're on the Rav boards, there's a couple of other conversations there as well you might like to join in on. This week also I've been blown away by the response to the knit along that I announced last week. If you missed last week, I announced that in March and April I'm having a knit a hug knit along, and that is to recognise people for whom Mother's Day is a challenging time. Mother's Day is in May, and to knit them a hug, knit them something they can wear around their shoulders, wear around their neck, that will remind them that they are loved, that they're appreciated, and that others recognise the pain that Mother's Day can bring them. I've been, I think overwhelmed, it's probably not the right word, but I've been touched immensely by the number of PMs I've had this week from people thanking me for the knit along, and stories as well. And I talked last week about my battles with infertility and why I chose to do this. I also mentioned other people I knew who had children, but the children didn't live with them. They were with other people these days. And it's given me goosebumps thinking about it. The feedback I've had has been so positive, and I thank you all for that. I thought it was something a bit left field, but I decided to run with it, and I'm really glad I did. It's allowed people to share with me their experiences, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful that so many people have said and told me experiences from years ago, told me experiences from many, many years ago, and some people. I'm thinking that, some people have possibly thought, I don't think I know anyone who's gone through infertility or who doesn't have children who wanted children. But there may be someone you know whose mother died this year or whose grandmother died. If you think of Carrie's children, Knit Pearl Girl, I can imagine that Mother's Day is going to be really challenging for them. I think of people who've lost grandparents, who've lost parents, people who are separated from their children, and Mother's Day is a challenging time. So I'm looking forward to knitting along with you. I have a couple of things picked out already. And by all means, knit a hug for yourself. I don't mean for you to give something away if you don't want to give something away, but if you do, that would be lovely. If you would like to keep something for yourself, if you want to knit a hug for yourself, that is fine. I received a lovely email from Kiki from Yarn vs Zombies during the week, and she has offered some of her yarn as a prize for that knit along, which I am really appreciative. Thank you so much, Kiki, and thank you for your support of this podcast. I think after last week, where I went on for half an hour about the week that was and things that had happened, I can get into this week and I can get into the knitting, because that's what we're here for. My finished object. I finished last night. It was just after midnight, so I'm still classing it as finishing it yesterday, my Whippoorwill. Now, this was a knit along I started on the 1st of February. There we are. I started this on the 1st of February with Kiki from Yarn vs Zombies, and Megan from Stockinette Zombies, and Amy, who is knitting Amy K. And it's just lovely. I may have finished last, but I'm still very proud of. I wasn't a race or anything. There's no way it was a race. I'm not saying that, but I'm just so proud of what I've done. This is for my aunt, who lives in Jersey in the Channel Islands, whose husband died recently, and I wanted to give her a hug, but we're separated by distance, and I felt this was definitely a way I could do it. This is the yarn I used was Host yarn that I bought from Susie Hausfrau in Canberra in Australia online. It is very scratchy yarn when you knit it up. I've blocked it after soaking it in soap, and it's probably not something I'd like to wear next to my skin. It's not the softest, but it's not that irritating either. It is a gorgeous shawl. It just drapes beautifully, and I don't know if I can, it might be easier to go that way. Here we are, it's not. And yeah, I am absolutely thrilled with this. So yeah, thank you ladies for knitting along with me for Whippoorwilling. which is what our tag was on Twitter. If you saw tweets from me that had Whippoorwilling, it was usually about this. I will admit the first part, the stockinette part, was a little boring in parts, but once you get to the colour changes, it changed a lot and it became a lot more enjoyable. You can see the pattern emerging. Casting off 560 odd stitches wasn't the most ideal thing, I suppose. Wasn't the funnest thing I've ever done, but it was done and it was blocked and I'm really, really pleased with it. So the two colours I used, were the Holst yarn, it was the super soft, perhaps a little bit of a misnomer, in the Marlin, which is the blue, and the Pussy Willow, which is the beigey green, which reminds me of Field and Sullivan, you know, on a tree by a river, a little tomtit, singing willow, tit, willow, which I think we sang in choir in primary school. Anyway, that has been ear burning me all week when I think about my Pussy Willow colour. It's, yeah, really, really pleased. I would probably knit one of these for myself, if only because it just hangs so beautifully around the shoulders. Yeah, loving it. That leads me into works in progress. So my main work in progress has been my striped socks. I'm going to do an afterthought heel on these. Cast on 72 stitches because I've got chunky ankles. Cankles, I think they're called. Last week, you'll recall, I'd done the ribbing and my needle had broken. Fortunately, my needles got through on Monday. I decided to go with these with the Knit Pro Novas, which are the metal needles, only because I had used the other ones that were metal, higher sharps. These aren't as sharp as the higher sharps, but for socks like this, I don't think it really matters. They're quite pleasant. I'm using a 32-inch cable, I think, instead of a 40-inch cable, which is what I usually use. I'm not finding any trouble with it. Really enjoying it. I got quite a bit of this knitting done on these. He's been leaning over at parent night at school last week. School being back early, a couple of weeks ago, we had parent night early on in the year. I had one parent who asked me what I was doing, and I said, I'm knitting socks. And she goes, oh, who for? And I said, for me. No, it's sort of, hello. Anyway, it reminds me of that thing, you know, see people golfing. They say, who are you golfing for? Oh, I'm golfing for me. Anyway, I forgot to mention last week. The week before when I cast on the Whippoorwill, I was in the Social Security office, Centrelink office, and I was in the queue from hell. It was just so long. I'm sitting there and I decided to cast this on. Now, I had the talkative person next to me who wouldn't shut up. They didn't really want to talk knitting. I don't think they really noticed what I was doing. It was more about them. It was all about them. The other person on the other side was very quiet. And suddenly they said to me, that looks very high tech. And I said, oh, because I had my iPad on my knee and I was knitting on my circulars. And she said, I don't think I've ever seen such high tech knitting before. Or is it crochet? And I said, no, it's knitting. And she goes, is it a special app you get? And I said, well, I've just got my pattern in a PDF app so I can take it with me and read it. And she goes, but doesn't it tell your needles what to do? She thought that the needles were connected to the iPad. And I said, no, they're just circular needles so that you can put a lot of stitches on there. And once I explained that to her, she said, oh, I only ever knitted scarves when I was a child. And I got a little bit of her story as well. So that was kind of funny. If you're out there and you're an iPad developer and you're into electronics, hey, you might be able to get some knitting needles that can be controlled by an iPad via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or something. And no doubt in probably 15, 20 years' time, there might be something like that. You never know. So if there is, I'll say thank you to the lady who sat next to me in the Centrelink office. The other work in progress I have is my de-interstitial, which is a knit along with Anansi from Meltran Designs and Fibre Nymph Dye Works. Now, I haven't brought that out to show because I haven't actually made much progress on it this week. I focus on the Whippoorwill. I hope to finish that in the next few days and I'll be able to show that to you next week. That knit along goes through till the end of February, so I do have quite a bit of time to finish it. I want to finish the socks as well. They're for the knit along for the stockinette zombies for their self-striping sock knit along in February yarn. This leads me to acquisitions. Now remember, I was without mail for a week, so what I have here is possibly 2 weeks worth. And yeah, let's just get into it. I am a member of the Australian Swappers group on Ravelry, and I really love it. We have swaps that all sorts of different swaps. There are monthly swaps. There are swaps that go for 10 to 12 weeks. There's a birthday swap each year. Things like that. I have been involved in the colour swaps they've had. We started off with purple, then went red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and now we're on to rainbows and blacks. So my rainbow swap arrived this week, and the lovely Annie Lon was just amazing. She sent me 2 balls of yarn. There is this poem sock yarn, which is so soft. It is just my colours. I just absolutely adore it. It's 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon from Turkey. It's machine washable, 420 metres, which is 459 yards. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm thinking I will possibly do a bactus, possibly a stripy bactus, pulling from each end of the ball. That would be something I think I'd like to do. I also received in the swap the softest Stella Prince bamboo, 100% bamboo, and it's in, sorry, there we are. It's a gorgeous sort of aquary, bluey and cream colour. Really lovely. Really looking forward to knitting up with this. I'm thinking it's 191 yards. I'm thinking it will probably be a cowl of some description, only because it's soft and lightweight, and I suspect it will be okay for going around my neck. Other thing I got was this beautiful necklace, which I just love, beaded necklace, handmade by Annie, which is just lovely, and also some rainbow stitch markers, which always, I love stitch markers, they are so useful. I have so many stitch markers, but when I go to find them, yeah, so I have some in my handbag, and I have some in the next to my bed, and I have some in the lounge room, and some in the dining room, and some out here on the deck. Now I have a tin with rainbows that I can store some more in, and I've got some others to add to that collection as well. I'm looking forward to my black swap arriving hopefully this week, and I'll be able to share that with you next week. The other things that arrived, I received my Into the World. I know you've seen this on a lot of other podcasts. This is the January 2013 Yarn Club. It is Sterre Nacht, which is Starry Night, based on the Van Gogh painting. You haven't seen it under Australian skies and under Australian sunlight, which might show it differently, I'm not sure. Just beautiful, really soft, really gorgeous. It is the Manchester base, which is 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon. I'm thinking this might become a hitchhiker, only because of the gorgeous softness of the cashmere. I'm not sure yet, but that's a possibility. Although I do have about 5 or 6 other skeins I've said will become hitchhikers because they're just so beautiful. So I'm not sure yet what I will do. But yeah, really, really pleased. I got the email last week that told me about the increases in freight to Australia and the increase that they've had to wear. And I decided that it is such beautiful yarn, I was going to try and carry on with the yarn club for the time being. Job pending, I assume. The other thing I received, I think one of the reasons I'm coping okay with not having a job is there were aspects of my last job that I didn't necessarily like. There were some things I was asked to do that I didn't. Anyway, there were things I didn't like. And there were days where I came away and I think I was angry and I was frustrated. One day last December, I was frustrated, and over my lunch break I saw, it was either a Facebook message or a perk from Slip Stitch Studios saying that the bag they had for pre-order was Pride and Prejudice versus Zombies. And I decided that was going to be my Christmas present to myself. And I ordered it. And it arrived this week. It is just perfect. It is just gorgeous. It's amazing. You can see there we have zombies. And we have Lizzie Bennet and all the other people. I love Pride and Prejudice. I love zombies. And I've also read Pride and Prejudice versus Zombies. Which I just love. It's really, really, really lovely. So I'm pleased this arrived. It's a huge bag. I'm thinking it'll probably fit a sweater's worth in. Inside there is a needle nook, which you can see has more zombies and blood splatter. Which is going to be really helpful to store needles in project bags. My sock needles, I was noticing today, I had them in my handbag and one stuck through. So looking forward to using that. It has the Slip Stitch Studios magnetic bookmarks with yarn on them. So again, looking forward to using those. I got the extra package that had extras in it, mainly because it was a Christmas present for myself. I have the Zombies Are Crap at Knitting, which makes me smile. And I have the badges, which is I knit so I don't kill people, and it has some other Pride and Prejudice badges there. So I'm looking forward to using those. And finally, we have the stitch markers. So they're cute, they're whimsical, they're funny. Love it. You kind of see them there. So again, really, really pleased I got this. Inside the bag, there are 2 pockets lined in the fabric, and there we are, you can fit a whole hand in them. There's also a clip, press stud there, so you can put your keys on there. The other thing that was included was a little sample mini skein from Pandia's Jewels, who I hadn't heard of before. This is really, I think it's quite fun actually. It's the Ooze colourway in the squidgy base, which is 100% superwash merino. Now, I'm collecting a couple of these mini skeins, plus I have yarn left over from knitting socks. So I've been thinking of starting a beekeeper's blanket, knitting hexie puffs. But then I think of that and I think, ooh, I don't know. And then I think the other option would be to knit a sock yarn blanket and possibly the mitered square blanket that people knit. That just has so many ends that have to be woven in. So now it's, I don't know, I haven't queued the beekeeper's quilt, but I haven't said I'm not going to knit it either. So we will see where things lead and see what I decide to do. Just putting this away so I can show you my last acquisition. And my last acquisition is my Malabrigo Rios in the Azul Profundo colour. It's coming up quite bright blue there. It's not really that bright. It's sort of a light navy, junior navy, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to describe. When I saw it pictured, I thought it was that bright, and I thought, because I had to order it online, I thought, I don't know if I'm going to like that brightness. And I saw some project photos where it wasn't as bright, and I wasn't sure what had happened. I have unrolled a skein here as I'm about to ball it up so that I can swatch for the knit along. But that gives you a bit more of an idea of the true colour. It's, yeah. I'm really looking forward to knitting along with Mel. I've watched Mel from early on in her podcasting days and appreciate all that she does. I appreciate her enthusiasm and her smile and her affection for overcoming adversity. If you haven't checked out Single-Handed Knits, I think it's well worth doing it. And that's probably all I want to say on that. I will be swatching for that and getting that going. As I said, I wanted to keep this under 30 minutes, and I think I'm getting good at doing that. I think the first take was about 29 minutes, so I'm not sure what this one's going to be, but I know you'll be able to hear me, so if I've left stuff out, it wasn't that important anyway. This week is Valentine's Day, which is also VDay, which is Eve Ensler. Set up VDay 15 years ago. It's the 15th anniversary of VDay, and VDay is to acknowledge violence against women and girls and to help put a stop to it. This year, as part of VDay, I'm taking part in 1 Billion Rising. 1 Billion Rising is encouraging women around the world to dance to acknowledge violence against women and girls. I was going to read here, 1 in 3 women on the planet will be raped or beaten in her lifetime. 1 billion women violated is an atrocity. 1 billion women dancing is a revolution. In Cairns, we're going to be dancing on Thursday, on Valentine's Day, VDay, between 5:30 and 6:30 in City Place. I'm part of Red Pavilion, the group that has organised the Cairns event. We are starting off with some wailing from Papua New Guinean women, which is always very, very moving. We are going into ribbon dances. We're just then having freestyle dance. We've got a huge playlist there. We've got some live music. We've got all sorts of things. Really looking forward to it. So it says on the site, I'll link the site in the show notes, 1 Billion Rising is a global strike, an invitation to dance, a call to men and women to refuse to participate in the status quo until rape and rape culture ends, an act of solidarity demonstrating to women the commonality of their struggles and their power in numbers, a refusal to accept violence against women and girls as a given, and a new time and a new way of being. I encourage you to look up where there are VDay events in your area, to perhaps go and see the Vagina Monologues if it's being staged. We put that on last year and absolutely loved it, had a ball. Or to join in 1 Billion Rising. If you can't be part of an official day, perhaps set some time aside to just dance in your living room, to find a way that for you that you can acknowledge that violence against women and girls needs to end, basically. So that is about it. I will next week go into some of the things people have said about Australians and Australia that intrigues them. As I said, I did have to stop a bit of chatter on the board. That's okay. I'm fine with that. There's another thread now for chatter. I should have made it more clear. So that's all me. I'm not stressed about it. I encourage you to go over there again to enter to win the skein of skein and to win some stitch markers. Again, thank you to everyone who has sent me messages. I've still got a few to reply to, I believe. And if that's you, I'm sorry. And have a great week. Until then, I'll say uru, cheers, bye.